What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the PHNX Mercury podcast. I am your host, Eric Lee Day, joined by PG1, QB1, on and off the field, in and out of the studio, Stephen Perjohn Garner, and then obviously the newest addition to our show, Mr. Ballboy himself, Gil McGregor, which I got to find something else. It just feels so derogatory, and I don't mean it in a derogatory way, so I'm going to have to find a new word
We'll
because
figure it out.
I don't really like that.
It'll
It's
come.
going
It'll
to come
come
a
naturally.
time. Yeah, for sure. But in the meantime, you're still ball boy. So welcome to the show. Welcome back to the show. Be sure to leave a like, thumbs up, 5-star review wherever your podcast. Leave a comment down below. I want a 100% like rate today. I'm not playing no games with y'all. We got to 100% like rate multiple times last season, and again, I'm not playing no games. Leave those likes, or else, I'm watching you. Nonetheless, how the heck are you guys today? Happy Wednesday, I think. I
Wednesday.
have no idea. Thank
Me
God.
neither. It's a day. I'm
Does it
good.
matter what day it is? Good.
I'm
You had a
good.
nice vacation?
Had some good time away. Got a chance to get in the building yesterday for the home opener, which we'll talk about obviously. But regardless of how it ended, I will say that the energy in there gave me energy, and that was worth noting.
I'm
Lit.
doing all right. Definitely a game that felt like they should have won yesterday.
Yep.
And I feel like that's a lot of what we're here to talk about today. So I'm looking forward to having that conversation because they got some work to do. How you doing?
With the exception of my ever-growing hatred for the WNBA League Pass application on my cellular device, I'm doing good. If you want to hear me yell and rant and low-key cuss about the WNBA app, you can go to the DLS Wings podcast because I gave like 10 minutes of a lecture yesterday. Because why am I watching a basketball game and in the third quarter and I'm not touching a remote, I'm not touching my phone, I'm not touching anything involved with the broadcast, and the game just starts over. The game just starts over. So,
Mm.
I appreciate the 1.2 million new WNBA ID users. I'm excited for them, but I'm going to be honest with you guys. If they don't figure something else out with that app, not only are they going to have a long-standing problem with me personally, I would never want a problem with me, but they're going to have a long-standing problem with 1.2 million people. So, WNBA, I love you guys. I love this league, and I want to be able to watch my games when I'm supposed to be able to watch my games. Also, the fact that I can't watch a replay at any willing time is atrocious. What is the point of League Pass in the first place? I don't get it. 2 plus 2 does not equal 5. So please, let's get back to things that matter, which is the basketball, and make the broadcast presentation correct. Don't have me restarting games, and we will all be kosher here on this fine Wednesday afternoon. Uh,
You
but
should
now that we
clip
got that out of
that
the way,
and then write a letter and then package that together, and then they'll fix it.
I genuinely, Gil, listen, I have a hard time believing that they're going to fix it because I don't foresee. Kathy's talking about, oh, the app is 100 times better this year. In what world? Not this
Not this
one,
one.
not planet Earth,
Mm-mm.
bro. I'm so sorry. Maybe the people, the astronauts that went to the moon, maybe they took the better WNBA app with them because I swear on everything on this earth, it is not here with us. So I
Mm.
need something to give. I'm doing my job, right? I'm doing my job by paying the little $40. You need to give me what you owe me in return. You know those little signs that we had last year, pay us what you owe us? Show us what you owe us, or else I'm gonna
Mm.
want a refund. Okay? Anyways, now that my TED talk is over, I'm really excited, and I know that you guys are probably gonna put together a little VOD for everybody about this, but I did want to just get really quick. You kind of gave us a sneak peek, but like it was your first legit game in the MMC for the Phoenix Mercury. I wanted to give you a second to kind of give us your thoughts. Obviously, the intros were sick, and Kevin was able to be in the building. Shout out producer Kevin to get us some footage of those intros and everything else that was going on the floor last night. But I wanted to hear your perspective because I think it's a completely different game viewing experience than if you're going there for a Phoenix Suns game.
100%. I mean, I've only been to one Suns game, but thinking just about the energy in there, and like I said it the other day, just saying that like it's not just that they add to the environment, the crowd and the fans are the environment, and they make the game what it is. And if you are well versed or familiar, and you kind of hear players talk about just how unique of a spectacle that it is, like all the things that went into the presentation, what went into the player intros for opening night, the purple shirts that were out there for everybody, and all the energy. You documented the hype video that honor the past while then shining a spotlight on the present and future with showing the 30 years of history that this franchise had. They showed the championship teams and championship years and saying like the history is forged in metal. Like you've won 3 titles, you have the ability to flex the 3 titles that you've won. So all of that, the history that you feel, and then just like the genuine like love that you can tell that all the fans have for this franchise, which is again rooted in the history that they have, the success that they found, and also them being one with the community as a whole. It feels like a lot to say you felt, just in one game, but I definitely could feel that and just tell by the way that people revere this team, cheer for this team, and the environment and the way that they uplift the team even in losses.
It don't take
And
long to know when there's a culture and a standard that's
Mhm.
set when you walk into a building or a place,
For sure.
whether it be just a local store, something that's like family owned, that's passed down from generation to generation,
Mhm.
or something as big as a Fortune 500 company or a literal sports franchise. When culture is there, you can smell it, you can see it, you can feel it when you are within its parameters. I imagine that's a lot of what you were able to kind of glean from your first
Absolutely.
regular season game.
Yep.
And just imagining that times 22 now for regular season games,
Mhm.
and then looking at it even more so come postseason.
Postseason.
Yeah, it's a very unique and very fun basketball environment. And I think some of the bits that you see from college, where college teams have a very staunch and stout culture. Thinking about, I hate to bring it up, and I'm sorry, the Cameron Crazies, everything that comes with the student section and what that culture entails for
Mhm.
them. I think about my Spartans, and I think about everything that's Izzo related in the green and white chants.
Mhm.
Like, I feel like the Mercury are one of very few professional teams that has all of the in arena experience stuff, the things that are scripted expectation wise. Whenever you come into the arena, you know that it's going to be there,
Yeah.
and then those things also all just tying in, not just for fun, but it literally impacts the game. And the team has mentioned many times that they can play off of that.
Yep.
Like, that's something that's very hard to replicate on a professional stage. I think the most abundant we can kind of look at it from is over in Europe, the way they do sports
Yeah.
in general,
Yep.
like regardless of what sport. To have even the slightest bit of that in a professional sense for the Mercury, and
Yeah.
they have it in spades,
Mhm.
that's a lot. And that
Yeah,
says
for
a lot
sure.
about everything that transpired prior to this season.
Definitely. Definitely.
you can. This is one of those environments that you can kind of feel the energy palpitate through the screen, which is always exciting to watch. I did want to give the Mercury marketing team a huge shout out for finally, after an entire season, making those Mercury Vibe only shirts available to the general population. That has been something that we've been hearing about behind closed doors. Like, we've been hearing about it from fans who want it. We've been hearing about from them who want to make the shirts for sale. So I'm excited. I'm going to finally be able to cop my MBO shirt. It's about damn time. Alexa, play that song by Lizzo, and everything will be kosher. I was almost wrong. I was almost wrong about it, but I ended up pulling through. But yes, to your guys' point, we are going to be obviously talking about the loss to the Minnesota Lynx that the Mercury took last night, 88 to 84. It was a little closer than either Steven or I predicted, but nonetheless, it was kind of a flip of a coin. Who's going to win the game last night? A few different bounces go a few different ways. Frankly, a few free throws that were missed are made, and we're looking at a completely different basketball game. Obviously, not any. This game is not won or lost alone at the free throw line, but nonetheless, there was a little left to be desired, a little left on the table at the free throw line, which is something that's going to have to improve, I think, for WNBA teams across the board this season, just because they are going to be probably taking them at a higher volume. So they're going to be more important to convert
Probably.
those points. I'm sorry. I shouldn't say probably. I was trying to give, again, the benefit of the doubt to, the people in charge. I don't know who I am to be doing that after the way they've played in my face regarding this app in particular. So I need to just stop doing that. That's on me, guys. But nonetheless, it was a fun game, and I was watching it while I was hosting the Wing Show. So you guys are gonna kind of have the benefit of the being in person last night and seeing it firsthand. I obviously saw the ridiculous performance Olivia Miles has. That lady has a very long, happy career in a few ahead of her in the WNBA. I think it was Lolo Bike that was talking about how she probably will be a top 5 point guard in the WNBA when all is said and done. And I can definitely see a world in which that happens. And I think, not to take away any thunder from what you guys are definitely going to be saying throughout this podcast, but once this team is complete and Monica Kalmakani is here, there's a more one-to-one matchup for someone like Olivia Miles. And that becomes a little easier to bear. Maybe not easy necessarily, but easier.
Yeah, I mean, we can start with Olivia. Last night was a very impressive showing again for someone that is a rookie but exudes no qualities that rookies typically do. Very casual, 26 minutes, 50% from the field. Didn't knock down any threes, but got to the free throw line 4 times, knocked down 3 of those. 7 assists, only 2 turnovers, and 13 points within that. And she was third on her team in terms of plus minus at +6. Close your eyes, you tell me any starting point guard has those numbers, I say that's the team that probably won. Her team won last night. I think they won largely because of her ability to kind of man the game in the way that she does while not turning the ball over. It's awesome to be able to make all of these passes and have this great vision and be able to thread the needle. Like, all of that is really good. But if you can't do so without conceding possessions to your opponents, it's all for naught. And I think she strikes a very efficient balance of being able to do all of these dazzling things with the ball, but it trickulating into production for her teammates or for herself. And that's not something that's easy to do as a guard. And I think she reaps the benefits of just being great at basketball outright to start her career. But I think it also helps when you have someone like Courtney Williams, who's in your corner and in your ear every chance you can, every chance you want to be a sponge. Like Cheryl Reeves said that she always is asking for information and advice. She's very curious, and she said that curiosity is what's going to lead her to her greatness. Also helps when you have Lindsay freaking Whalen just casually sitting on the bench and watching film with you and talking about coverages and how to do these different things by way of your skill set that can put you in a position to understand things and then go and dominate. Embarrassment of riches for her. She's in a great spot. I don't know if she could have been in a better situation. And we were privy to, in a different way, but similar to how we saw Paige Beckers when she came through Mortgage Matchup Center last season, which at the time was a different name. Came through and showed her greatness as a rookie. And I think that says a lot about who she is.
Yeah, the Cheryl Reef part stands out a lot to me when I think about Olivia Miles and what we watched her do yesterday. There was one play, I think it was a 3-pointer that the wing set. She got the assist on it, and Nate Tibbetts immediately called a timeout. And everybody's kind of feeling themselves, beating their chest a little bit. And as soon as they get toward the bench, Cheryl Reef takes Olivia Miles aside, and basically it's like, this isn't the end goal. We're trying to win this game. And to have a coach like that, one of the greatest to ever grace the sidelines, and have her in your ear, have them in your corner, have a player like Fee who was just sitting watching another person and being that sponge and very obviously listening to what they have to say. And the big one that we haven't talked about yet, but I know we're going to talk about, is the fearlessness.
Let's do it.
Going back and forth with Alyssa Thomas from the beginning. Like, how many rookies do you know that are going to go up and get in the face and not back down from talking consistently and constantly to one of the best players in the league and one of the best players this game has ever seen? Like, AT was like, all right, Rook, like, you got it. And she was like, yeah, I'm here. Like, I'm here. I'm going to continue to talk. You might be better than me. You might have done more than me in this league, but I'm right here, and I'm coming for everything that you have right now. And she was, even through foul trouble, all of that, that was what impressed me the most, because very easily you've seen some players, young players, they'll get talked back to, and they're like, oh, my bad, my fault, OG, you got it. And like kind of keep to themselves. That wasn't what she did last night. And and that attitude really, I think, is what set the tone for the rest of her team. And I think, of course, like, one, I think Alyssa Thomas respects that for sure. Like, it's between the lines. It is what it is. Like, when they get outside the lines, I respect what you're doing, whatever. But also, your teammates are like, oh, we got a real one next to me right here. You know, like, now when you get into other battles later in the season, you're going to trust your rookie to do that. So I was super impressed with her performance, but the attitude and mentality that she played with, you don't see that from a lot of rookies, regardless of whatever sport, whatever level. You don't see that from rookies often.
Yeah, two quick things for me. She finished her college career at TCU, but she started her career at Notre Dame. There's a certain type of cloth you got to be cut from.
They're not the peaceful Irish.
Nah, it's not the peaceful Irish. You got to have a certain type of chip on your shoulder, and you don't need anybody to put a battery in your back, because you come with that, and your bag,
Mm-hmm.
and you come with your shoes and you're ready to work. That, and I think we talked about this last night too, Gil, in post game, but AT is not going to just talk to anybody.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that Olivia was also able to go back and forth, but also keep, like teachers used to say, keep your eyes on your own paper.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she heard and chirped back,
Kept playing the
but
game.
she stayed focused on what her team needed her to do for them to ultimately have a chance. And when that time and opportunity came, now she's in pick and roll, she's kicking it to open players, and players knocking down shots.
Yep.
And she's doing the job. Like, that's not easy to do. That's not something that a lot of rookies come in being able to balance that. A lot of rookies can come in and talk. Few can walk it while they're talking it and also lead their team to a victory. So, hate to start with an opposing player.
She earned
that's
it.
something that's special that showed
it.
what she's working towards.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, I hated to throw it, but I needed to get it out of the way so that we can talk about the things that didn't really go right for the Phoenix Mercury. That said, I do want to talk about Valériane Ayayi's debut in a Phoenix Mercury jersey. I think she kind of showed a small sample size of what she's there to do for the Phoenix Mercury, and she kind of talked about it after the game, and I'll let you guys kind of get into that. But she really is kind of proved in that, I think it's 18 minutes, 17:25, to be kind of exactly what they thought she was going to be, which is a plug and play versatile player. And if you're going to play for a team like the Phoenix Mercury, you have to be versatile. There is no other option, and she kind of proved to be able to do that. And she wants to get better. She wants to be more confident in her situation here in Phoenix. And after the first two games of the season being played kind of without her, there was definitely, I think, a little bit of give with the confidence there for her. So I hope to see that come along with her. But what did you guys kind of see from Ayayi's first game in a Mercury jersey?
Yeah, I'll start with the fact that she literally just outright started. I wasn't sure how lineups and rotations would shake out per se, especially considering how many times the opportunity she had to practice with the team prior to her first game being played, which you could count on one hand with that. But yeah, I think the trust from Nate Tibbetts to just literally outright put her in the starting unit says a lot about the talent, the potential, the fit, and everything that stood out in terms of them wanting to even bring her over from France to begin with. So, Kevin, we could go ahead and get to the clip of Nate speaking in post game about the decision to ultimately bring Valu into the starting lineup for her first game. Here's what everything he had to say there.
Yeah, I think we'll continue to look at different lineups. With Mo not here and Sammy out. Again, the first two games we started Yo-Yo, and going into that weekend, I had kind of planned to start Valu. So we'll continue to look at it. Again, I think just overall our execution and getting to spots, we're not where we need to be, and we need some more practices and reps together for sure.
We'll wrap there. Thank you, Nate.
All right, thank you guys.
Yeah, I think that says a lot about the vote of confidence that it gives for a player that you took a chance on, saying, I would like for you to come play with us, and we have a runway for opportunity, but you also have an opportunity for impact. And just outright starts in the very first game. I think that says a lot. Obviously, context matters, and I wonder what things look like when Monique is back as well as when Sammy is in the mix. Nonetheless, they still saw some great things from Valu in her very first game. I think more than anything, just the competitive edge that she plays with, hand in glove, alignment, all of that stuff that you want to use that speaks to how well she fits with the team. More than anything, just kind of characteristics wise. We have somebody that can play off of the edge that AT plays with, but AT can also play off of their edge. Now you're talking about, for a team that was arguably the most competitive comprehensively last season, to add another rung to that, that's a lot. I think Nate also mentioned he wasn't sure with them if she's going to be consistently a 1, a 2, or a 3. It's a different context, but last season he said the same thing about Kat Westbeld. Didn't really know if she was going to be a 3 for them, if she was going to be a 4, if she was going to be a 5. Guess what? She just turned out to be one of their top 6 best players. Exactly. Plug and play. Against Minnesota. Hey, Kat, can you play the 3 for us while we're down 0-1 and we got to get this game to get back to the crib? Okay, cool, Nate, no problem. Come in, provide some impact, push the game to overtime, close the game for the team at the 3, and then ultimately win that game. And you know what they did after that the rest of the series. I imagine Valériane Ayayi can strike that same accord just with a little bit downsides on the positional versatility side, but being able to play 1 through 3 and kind of really unlocking lineups for them when Monique and Sammy come back.
The compatibility part comes to mind first because you mentioned her and AT, and when they asked AT about her, because obviously they had their background history of playing together in Prague, she was like, "Hey, she's fiery." She said she's not as she said she was fiery. She said she's fiery like me, and that is a level of fire that few have. So to be able to match that, and we saw it on a couple of possessions. Again, 17 minutes is a lot, but isn't a lot at the same time. And there were a couple of moments where you could see, oh, you just like me for real. Like we can get used to this. We can exactly. And the one that everybody kind of talked about is her ability to hit ahead. Her outlet passes had a couple that didn't look like they were going to get there, and I was like kind of leaning. I was like, is that going to make it? And then both of them got there where she set people up in transition. And these are things that she's doing when she hasn't even really played with the majority of these people. Like there isn't much of compatibility elsewhere and familiarity with how to play with someone else and how to give them the ball where they want the ball and understand their tendencies and understand what they want to do. So to say that she was a +1 in the box score, to say that she did a lot of things that fit within the DNA and the fabric of this team in the circumstances that she was able to do it, that gives me a lot of encouragement about the role that she will eventually settle into with this team. And is also a reminder, as you mentioned, with Mo not being back yet, with Sammy being out of the lineup for the next several weeks, there are still some things that will need to get sorted out. But it would have been terrible if it was like it didn't look good right away. And it's like, man, it's going to take some time to figure this out. No, it's going to need some polishing, but it does look good and it's encouraging. And it's only going to get better as more people are back and more people are in the lineup.
Well, and from both of you, like from a basketball standpoint, like how much of the fit and glove is just the scouting department doing their job at the utmost degree? Because I feel like we gave a lot of credit to Nick Urin for finding these players, but then seeing it in real time is a different story.
I mean, yeah, for a team that says they hang their hat on defense, and you bring in a player that has all of the defensive cachet and the trophies to match that defensive cachet, you just bring in a winner to add to a winning culture that pre-existed any of these players being around, and now you're just kind of carrying it with a different type of quality. You have more numbers that you can kind of carry that forward with, and I'm just like to be saying this after the defensive performance that they had in pockets against Golden State and against Minnesota last night. And I'm still excited about this team's defensive potential. Like that says a lot for me because if this wasn't the Mercury and what their kind of cachet is and what they showed to be their standard last season, I might be like, hey, it might be a little trouble in paradise. But for this team, I'm not shook by it. I think they still have work to do, and I think this is what we talked about them having the second toughest schedule through the first quarter. This is what having games like this so early on when you're still trying to figure yourself out forces you to recognize. You don't get to figure it out on your own terms. It's like blatantly in your face. I think something that was a little bit of an issue for them last season. Erica, we talked about this a lot. Just kind of shifty point guards that can make plays in pick and roll, but also just go get paint touches on their own accord. I made the Paige Beckers comparison to Olivia Miles. Two completely different styles of basketball players, but they know what to do and how to press the buttons to put themselves in the position to be successful and their team. I think you can look at a couple of other players across the W that gave the Mercury some issues last season as well. Kelsey Mitchell, obviously most recently, and even at multiple pockets last season as well, Veronica Burton. Like those types of guards have been the ones that are typically a kind of thorn in the Mercury's defensive side for a team that's really shown to be able to kind of take hits from anybody and then dish it right back. So naturally gets to Monica Cole-McConney being available. I think when you imagine what their defense can be with Mo and Valu being able to do a lot of the things they can do in tandem with AT and Dewana and Kahleah, and Mac, there's a lot there for them in terms of the versatility. Now it's just a matter of can they execute in a sustained manner, and I think that's the toughest part. But I talked with Cheryl Reeve yesterday about Nick Urin and the Mercury International Scouting Department's kind of proven proof of concept the last 2 to 3 seasons now. And she has some very glowing things to say about that.
Specific player type. For sure. Ran into Phoenix quite a bit over the last 2 years. Everywhere we were, I was like, okay, where are we going next? We were always going to see each other. I think this was coming. This was the next evolution of the game. This was coming. The new collective bargaining agreement has made it even more appealing for players outside the U.S. to come play. And so this was coming, and there's a lot of talent, outside of the U.S. A lot of talent, and so I think both of us investing in that, somewhat out of necessity. I think Nick's done a great job, kind of going, okay, I don't have a lot to, I don't have a lot of draft picks. I don't have a lot of, I got to figure this out, and I think he's done a great job, kind of piecing this thing together.
That's about the biggest cosign you can get.
Mm-hmm.
If you're speaking to sustaining winning and winning uniquely, kind of being on the cutting edge of what everybody else is always trying to play catch up to get to, not just in game process, not just in facilities, not just in the type of players you're bringing in, but also the pool of talent that you're assessing players from. That's the golden standard right there in terms of if we're looking at over the last 15 some odd years and sustaining success across all of that, you don't just walk into that by accident. That's something that's very intentionally done step by step. And I think that reach to the international pool in tandem with finding those marginal moves like bringing in a Marta Suarez after Golden State kind of lets her slip through their fingertips. Like little things like that are what usually entail a team that's moving uniquely. Mercury have that in multiple respects at this present moment, and we still haven't seen how this season is going to play out for them yet.
It's something that you and I talked about before the season when there was a lot of understandable / justifiable freak out about roster turnover and putting a roster together on the fly. And you said, hey, look, maybe just trust the people who are making the decisions because they've earned your trust, what this team and what this franchise has been able to do, especially last year. And then coming into this year, if there's anybody you trust to work under those circumstances, it would be this front office. And we're seeing the proof already. As you said, the proof of concept that already exists is now repeating itself. And, the ability to not just find players that are talented, but talented players that fit within the fabric of this team, which I kind of said already. Finding somebody who has a background with the best player on your team. And if they can vouch for them, understanding that I don't need to ask all 10 players on this team or everybody who's still a part of the core. Let me ask our top 2 players. And if one of them can vouch, then everybody else is probably going to fall in line as far as that goes. So I think that is a skill. That is something that's not easy to do, but they've proven to have a keen eye on both sides of, hey, this is somebody who is going to contribute right away and also fit into what we have going on. Hey, this is somebody who we see as part of our long-term future. And I think as this league continues to evolve, the teams that are quicker to get more depth, and I think that we're seeing this Mercury team's depth get tested early on, given the circumstances that they're navigating. You're going to see that pay off once they are at full strength, whether it's 15 or 20 games in the season or sooner. You're going to see, the 7th or 8th player in this rotation could probably be the 6th or 5th player on majority of teams in the league. You have a situation where, because there are a lot of people who are going to get starting reps that might not be starting in 4 or 5 weeks' time. Yep. And that's a really, really, really good problem to have. And I think that once they settle in, the timing right now, barring any other setbacks, is going to be good for this team because it is a marathon.
Yeah, it is. And I think that's why they're well equipped to kind of endure that marathon, get through whatever this first 11-game stretch is going to be, and then ultimately be able to take what they learned from this kind of segment of the schedule, be able to apply it with the lessons that are going to come going forward, or challenges rather, and then be more well equipped, like I said, to just kind of navigate it, get to a better spot. And then it's when it really matters, once you get past the 44 and then you get to what's ultimately the postseason, which is what you bring in someone like Valériane Ayayi to do.
Mm-hmm.
Really quick about that clip from Cheryl. I love the mutual respect that Phoenix has obviously earned from her. Obviously, the way that the playoff series played out last year, the Lynx fans can say this or they can say that, but the mutual respect has been earned by the two franchises. And I think that's something, obviously you saw mutual respect like that kind of be earned between like the likes of New York and Vegas over the last 5 years, and just the way that they've kind of gone head to head so much. And so to see that kind of same rivalry bud over the years between the Lynx and the Mercury has been really fun to see. And I love the fact that obviously Coach Nate Tibbetts has a ton of respect for what Cheryl does, and then vice versa. Cheryl always has a ton of respect for what Nate Tibbetts does. And I think that's really fun. A super good little tidbit, not Tibbetts, but Tibbet. Anyways, we're going to take a quick little ad break here on the PHNX Mercury podcast. We're going to talk KFC's 30-piece. We're going to talk what went wrong in yesterday's game. Obviously, I'm so excited that Kahleah Copper is back in full form, and we get to see what that continues to look like throughout the rest of the season. But we'll talk about all that and more after this quick break on the PHNX Mercury podcast. Guys, we all have a time in life where we need to stick to a budget. Heck, I'm in that time right now. Maybe you're saving up to buy something big and you need all your monthly bills to be predictable. To help you out with that, APS has their budget billing program. When APS customers sign up for budget billing, your payment is averaged out over the full year so that you pay about the same every month for your energy bill. That gives you more predictable payment, helping you plan and save. Learn more about budget billing and other options for managing your bill at aps.com/talk. /let's talk. That's on me. But go to aps.com/talk for more options for your budget billing needs. Also, our good friends at Mountain America Credit Union. These guys and the official credit and debit card of the Phoenix Mercury. There it is in all its glory. I'm going to say it again every single week until this bad boy has been updated with a new logo. I'm going to need that new fly logo added to this card because it's going to look so cool. You can get these elite cards from the official credit union of the Phoenix Mercury, Mountain America Credit Union, available as both credit and debit cards. Even better, take advantage of a special checking and credit card promotion for Phoenix Mercury fans. Get a $200 bonus when you open up a Mercury credit card and a MyStyle checking account. The no annual fee credit cards are available as low rate, cashback, or rewards card options. MyStyle accounts unlock extra benefits like telehealth access, loan rate discounts, and mobile phone protection. Mountain America Credit Union is here to help guide you forward on your financial journey. Get your Mercury card today and score your $200 bonus. Visit macu.com/Mercury200 to learn more. Insured by NCUA, membership required based on eligibility. This limited time offer ends December 31st and can be changed or withdrawn at any time. Terms, conditions, and exclusions apply. Loans on approved credit. Whew! But yeah, like Andy said in the chat, everyone needs some KFC. Really quick, I just need to say, I don't know if these are some new fans in our mentions, but KFC is not new. That's not a new nickname. I didn't come up with that. The Phoenix Mercury didn't come up with that. That has been there, done that. The nickname has been around. There's no I saw a few tweets. That's the only reason I'm even saying anything about this in the first place. But there is no weirdness when it comes to us calling her KFC. That's literally what her nickname has been. If this was not a monetized podcast, I would say what the F stands for. But since this is a monetized podcast, I will just say frickin'. That's all. But yeah, Kahleah frickin' Copper and all that she's able to do in all of her glory, obviously with the 30-point performance last night versus the Minnesota Lynx. Heck of a performance. I think she took 7 threes, which I know that not all of them went in, but I don't believe any of them were necessarily poorly taken shots, poorly selected shots, I should say. And so it was I love to say this word, an ethical 30-point performance, and a performance that you would like to see, not necessarily copy-pasted, because obviously you want a few more of those shots to go in so that Mercury win the game, but a performance that you could definitely see visions of long-term for the Phoenix Mercury and how that could kind of work out and help the roster later. Once, to your guys' point, once Sammy and Mo is back, that's that makes for a really tough team to guard. If Kahleah is firing the way she was last night, then you got Mo doing Mo's thing, Sammy doing Sammy's thing, Yo-Yo doing Yo-Yo things, Dewana doing Dewana things. That makes for a really difficult lineup to try to pick your poison for. But what did you guys think of Kahleah Copper's performance last night?
Yeah, to your point, Erica, I think it was a very replicable performance, and something that you said to me during the game, Steven, one of her first 3-point attempts is because they were going under on the handoff. And questionable decision and knowing who that is, but she was like, I'm gonna make you pay. And I think both of her 3-point makes were on that same type of action where somebody went under, she took the handoff and cashed it. One kind of rattled in. But to your point, 2 of 7 from 3, which means she was 7 of 14 inside the arc. And I think I tweeted one of her last buckets that she got, and it was just she was getting where she wanted to get. She was getting downhill. She was getting 2 feet in the paint, and that's something that Nate Tibbetts even talked about after the game, just the way teams are guarding her. She's such a cerebral player and scorer. She's adjusting on the fly. There was one on the baseline where she just, was like, you can't really do anything with me. I'm going to get where I want to get, and I'm going to score. And to be able to have a player like that on your team, when everything's out the window, scout goes out the window, they know everything that you're trying to do on the court. When you have a player that says, I'm still going to get where I want to get and score how I want to score, that is why you are an elite scorer. That's how you can fill up the way that Kahleah Copper was able to fill it up. And, she had a lot to say about the game, post-game. I know we'll get into some of the things she had to say, and she was not pleased with the loss, obviously, and some of the parts that led to that. But it wasn't for any lack of effort for her as a scorer yesterday. And just thinking back again to what we said, I can see similar performances happening throughout the course of this season, because I can't think of very many defenders in this league that are capable of keeping her from getting to those spots, and then thinking of who she's playing off of and the spacing that she's going to eventually be afforded, which she has to a certain extent right now, but it's only going to get better and in some ways easier for her as the season goes on.
Yeah, that's the tough part with Kai, because it's like, okay, you can say, yes, I want to help, but what about when Jovana Nogic is to pass away? Or what about in last night's instance, because Jovana didn't knock down any of her threes, it's Valériane Ayayi that's one pass away.
Yeah.
You trying to help and close off a two-player action with AT and Kai. It's like, oh, wait, there's Valou. By the time you even react, she already let it fly, and she knocked down her first three of the game. And then you rinse and repeat, and she does it again a few possessions later. Like, that's where it gets hard. You have to concede something. With every coverage, there's going to be opportunities and windows to poke at. I think the Mercury have the perfect complement of players on the periphery from everything that is Alyssa Thomas and or Kahleah Copper individually or in action together, to where you help from anywhere, you're going to have to pay. And that price is going to be hefty, sometimes resulting in threes. Think about Kiara Linskins knocking down the threes that she did yesterday. Yep. A lot of that is from the defense rotating to take away something else that other players did. And it's like, oh, wait, by the time you react, the ball's already in the net, and they're going back on defense, keeping their shell set. Kyle last night was really good. You talked about 2 for 7 from 3. In the paint, 6 for 10. That's pretty good. That is pretty good. Also 10 for 13 from the free throw line.
Right.
That speaks to everything that is the aggression button being pressed.
Yep.
I don't think Kai ever strikes me as someone that feels like anyone can guard her. And I don't think she
shouldn't feel that
way. Exactly. And I think there's one thing to say that, and then you see the numbers, it's like, oh, 13 free throw attempts. So y'all literally couldn't stay in front of her. Also 30 points on top. Y'all really just couldn't stay in front without fouling or just stop her from scoring outright.
By the way, it's the team that has that they're playing against has a defensive mentality. It's a defensive team known for their defense. I know they're not at full strength, but still.
This is a franchise that that hangs its hat on defense as much as any franchise in the W. Especially with that head coach on the sideline. But yeah, Kyle was in a very good scoring space. I think the literal space, to your point, Gil, was something that was good. I think they can be even better with how they're doing things to make sure that she's not seeing gaps loaded and she can kind of attack without having to get to counters before going to that space that's unoccupied. I spoke to her a little bit about that post game yesterday. And she spoke in detail about just kind of what some of her process is, how she's assessed the shift in spacing that's taking place for the Mercury this season. Here's everything that she had to say.
I mean, yeah, I think they're. I'm going to get their best shot, but just trying to read defenses better. Just trying to read the second level. It's not the first level for me. So just trying to be able to make the right read. I think our spacing has been great, so I'm able to get downhill, and then it's just me being able to read the second level, knowing when to spray, knowing when to be aggressive.
And I'm glad she mentioned the knowing when to spray part, because she did only have 2 assists yesterday, but it felt like she was very much in a space of, I'm not just going to go, I'm going with the plan. And it got to a point where the plan was just, hey, y'all can't stay in front of me, so respectfully, I'm about to just go get these buckets and try to will my team to a dub. Now, ultimately, they came up just a bit short, but I would beg to differ. It had nothing to do with a lack of production or effort on her side on the offensive end of the floor. She spoke to a lot about the defense and them needing. She didn't not include herself with what she was saying, but them needing to reach a certain level and sustain there defensively. Dewana said the same thing, and Nate said the same thing as well.
Yeah, it was interesting to hear some of the things that they pointed out as issues that they would like to be better at. And they were very candid. They were very honest with themselves. And it wasn't as simple as, we don't have everybody yet. We're incorporating new pieces. We played 3 games in 4 nights or 4 days.
Yeah.
Like those are all things that you could point at. But it was defensively. We gotta tighten up defensively. We need to up our compete level, which is nothing you ever want to hear. But I appreciate the candor and I appreciate Coach Tibbetts saying, "Look, this team is better than this. This wasn't their best foot that they put forward." And in some ways, which you talk about incorporating new players, all valid context, not excuses, but all valid context for what we saw last night. On the one hand, you don't want to look back, at late August and September saying, I wish you got game 3 of the season back. At the same time, this isn't quite preseason. I mean, winning and losing is always consequential, even if the games don't count to your standings or not. But so often, especially in, seasons that are the way that this one is, that are abridged in some ways, given everything that happened with CBA negotiations and players still coming back, you do have to take the results from the first couple of games with a grain of salt. I do think that at some point down the line, which I kind of previewed, there is going to be a 7 or 8 game win streak up this team's sleeve. They're not ready for that yet, but can you find things to be encouraged by in the losses? Can you find lessons to take out, or are you just seeing issues that are going to continue to persist and get worse? And I don't think that's what we're seeing with this team. We're seeing things that they need to be much better about this. There's a reason why this isn't as good as it could be, but it's not like that's going to be this team's fatal flaw. Like, I don't see this team missing 10 free throws in a close game. Again, clean that up. I don't see this team having the lapses that they had defensively, not necessarily competing at the level they need to compete at, not executing down the stretch the way they need to execute down the stretch. A lot of correctable problems, but the question is, okay, how are you locking in and honing in on correcting that before the next time you go out on the court?
I like what Mesa 14s in the chat says. We knew the Lynx were going to come at us the same way we went after the Aces. They hold a grudge after last season and want to prove something this season. Totally, totally, totally. And like, I was thinking about the mindset that Mercury kind of had walking into Vegas and how that needs to kind of come back and carry over into every game that they have this season. I know a lot of people are kind of like tired of hearing about the underdog mentality that this team has because they don't think that they should have that mentality. But if the team wants to embrace that mentality, then they have to truly embrace that mentality in every single game and that they're going to walk into. And so, to your point, like the competitive edge that they play with has to kind of improve. The defensive shell, to Steven's point, like that has to stay locked in at all times. It's not something that's optional. You're not going to stumble into a 4-point win over the Lynx because you're going to work really, really, really damn hard to get it. So you need that same non-lapses in judgment that you got in the game versus the Aces all season long.
I'll say I definitely understand the train of thought of the Lynx looked at the Mercury as the Mercury did to Las Vegas. Only one of those came with the jewelry last season, though. And you're not in a position to not be having that same energy you have for Vegas as you would for everybody else. Now, context 100% matters. You're playing Minnesota, 3rd game in 4 days, and it's just like a lot of newness to your context and everything you're trying to incorporate. Like, there's a lot to add to layers to that conversation, but I just don't want Minnesota to just kind of reap they had vengeance set out for them, so that's why they won. Now, I think the Mercury lost their game last night, and I think the pick and roll defense has to be much more sharp. I think naturally it's going to get there as they get reps. Like, they probably didn't necessarily practice in terms of 5-on-5 today, but I imagine tomorrow is going to be kind of a full-on practice and prep type thing where they're going over film clips and they're putting themselves back in those same situations that hurt them against Veronica Burton and then against Olivia Miles and company over these last 2 games, and sharpening those things out, talking about points where, hey, you overhelped on this one and that led to a defensive rotation that we didn't need to make. And on the back end of that, even though we did well in the first third of the shot clock, they still ended up getting a shot on the rhythm that they wanted, and that ultimately hurt us. There was examples last night of Alyssa Thomas. We talked about it, Gil, in real time, where Nia Coffey knocks down 2 threes in the 4th quarter.
Big shots.
She makes the first one.
Big shots.
Respectfully, like, Nia, we know you can knock down shots, but if you're taking those shots and it's not Courtney Williams or Kayla McBride or Olivia Miles getting in the paint, like, you'll live with those shots.
I can see something, yeah.
AT had a moment where, and again, context matters, so I'm going to tell the full story, but AT had a moment where she didn't help on onto coffee after or when she made the first one. The second one she did and ended up leading to some other things happening. Those things just simply don't happen when the defensive shell is sharp. Also, when you're good at the point of attack. Alyssa only helps off of Nia because she's not 100% sure that the ball is contained. If the ball is contained, that plays into everybody else's decisions in your shell, and now you get to stay home. If you're staying home, now they have to play one-on-one or take shots that are heavily contested. If not, turn the ball over or forcing errant decisions. That's where the Mercury are going to be at their best. That's where Monica Komakani is going to help.
Yep.
But it cannot be Monique. Can you please be the person that's guarding point of attack? If you're going to be a great defensive team, they want to be the best defensive team in the league. Alyssa Thomas never had a team over the last decade that's been anything less than top 3 in the league. You got to get there, and it's got to start with that point of attack. So Ivana Nogic does not close last night's game, partly because the shot wasn't falling, but the other part was she wasn't able to defend to scheme to the extent that they needed to. Kiana Williams closes. She only knocked down 1 3 in last night's game and didn't have the most efficient offensive game, but she was active at the points of attack. She was able to contain to scheme, but also just defend one-on-one to the point where scheme didn't even matter. And she was able to kind of do some things to not necessarily rattle Olivia Miles, but it made them go to next actions that didn't involve Olivia to then go and get offense, not on necessarily the court that they wanted to. So I think it starts at the point of attack for the Mercury. I think that's naturally where Valériane Ayayi is certainly going to help them because she gives them another option within all of that to do what they need defensively, which leads to the hit-aheads and leads to the transition buckets that Kahleah Copper got dozens of last night. And Alyssa Thomas is one of the best in the history of the game at, and DeWanna Bond is one of the best there. And Sammy's one of the best transition. Like, you get to what you want, which is transition, by way of being great at points of attack, and then everybody else can kind of cause chaos around that. They got to be better there before anything scheme-wise, and I think they left some room for improvement the last 2 games against Veronica Burton and Olivia Miles and company.
And the one last thing I was going to say about defense, and I think the last time I was on here, we talked about like controlled chaos, and I mentioned maybe tracking how many times you get teams deep into the shot clock, and obviously these aren't the live ball turnovers that get you going in transition, but the shot clock violations, the dead ball turnovers, the miscommunications you cause people to have that just suggest that they're out of sorts. I only remember one shot clock violation yesterday, and I don't remember too many of those like this team looks out of sorts. There were a lot of turnovers that were forced, more so in the first half of, we're playing the passing lanes, we're just anticipating things, but it wasn't really more of like this Minnesota team is uncomfortable or they're not getting where they want to. They were just, quite frankly, sloppy at times. So I think that getting more into that and keying into that defensively with the point of attack defense, with the principles, with the shell that you're in, that will mean good things for the Merc moving forward.
Yeah, Erica, we talked about it a lot last season. There's no statistic to base it off of in terms of ranks, but from the watching eye, Phoenix was no less than top 4 in terms of total shot clock violations forced.
Yeah.
And that's because point of attack. Last season, it was a little different. They were extending their pickup points all the way to the opposite inbound. So Monique was guarding full court. Obviously, you had Lexi Hill mixing in, doing that the same. We even saw Sammy doing it a little bit last season. They're not picking up as high up the floor to start the season. I wonder if that's in the cards for later or if they just pick their spots after timeouts or, something like that just to kind of preserve the defensive energy over the course of games. But they got to find something that's going to click for them to keep the pressure that they want on their opponents. And it feels like that starts more than anything at the points of attack, which will then allow for everybody else to do those great things that they do defensively. DeWanna getting steals, AT just being a wrecking ball on defense after the havoc on ball, Mac cleaning up things in the paint. Like, all of that stuff can happen, but it can't be we need this now in the first third of the shot clock. It's usually, to your point, Gil, they force teams into deep water, and then that Jaws song, it starts, then it starts picking up, and it starts picking up. Yeah, that's where they're at their best for sure.
I like that Gil has brought in the controlled chaos aspect because that's something that you and I kind of spoke up about a lot over the last season. And that's exactly what they've been trying to carry over from last year. I'm curious, as we kind of look to Friday's matchup versus Chicago Sky, what do you guys look for to have evolved over the little 3-day window of a break that the Mercury will have had? Obviously, like you guys said, Valou Ayayi hasn't really had an opportunity to get a real full practice in with this team. So, what do you think? How do you think the game plan kind of looks different on Friday than it does yesterday, considering there will actually be time to implement a game plan?
Yeah, I think game plan wise, it's more do better than shifting towards doing something a little differently. I think that naturally, you look at the murder's row of point guards that the Mercury have had to go up against through their first 4 games now come Friday. Start the season off, Chelsea freaking Gray. Have fun with that. You had a lot of fun with that, actually. You get to your second game, a back-to-back. Veronica Burton, who's waiting on you on I think 1 or 2 days of rest after they had their first game. Didn't have the most fun with VB. You had the initial start, you threw the first punch. VB was composed, and then she started to counterpunch your coverage. You guys want to ice and then get in the late switches? What about if I'm just going to test the depth of the coverage and then be patient for what happens after that and see how you react? And now all of a sudden they're getting paint touches in the secondary fashion. Gabby's getting middies. Gabby's getting catch and shoot threes. And then you got Letitia and May here doing everything that she was doing from the interior with that game as well. That's something to learn from. And then your third game, albeit a rookie, we just got done talking about that rookie does not have the composure of a rookie at all. In fact, she was more ready than she was rookie. And I think you saw her grow over the course of the game.
Yeah.
Initially, coverages maybe routed her just a little bit. And then she got her feet wet, she got comfortable. And all of a sudden, we're seeing some of those passes we saw her make against Atlanta start to triculate into this game, not in terms of flashy, but in terms of impact.
Yep.
And that's why they won that game. And now your fourth game. Guess who you got waiting for you? Skylar Diggins. And guess who's also going to be playing in that game? Natasha Cloud. One of those two, well, actually, while we're at it, both of those two recent Phoenix Mercury players, albeit different contexts and two complete different regimes, there's going to be a natural competitive edge that comes with those two when they're on the court and they're on the same team, which is insane. But they also have a same vendetta with the Mercury franchise. Might not have anything to do with the players in particular, but there's going to be an edge on top of the edge that those two already play with as it is. Both of those two are also supreme pick-and-roll players. Now, they score very differently within that, but it's not just that they can score out of that. They can also play make out of that. And you look at the three-point guards you've gone up against to start the season, each one of those three strike a very similar accord as to what the kind of veteran-heavy two that the Chicago Sky have will be able to get into. So that issue is not going to go anywhere in terms of challenge. You got to go and meet that challenge and start presenting your own resistance. I think they have the personnel to do it. I think it's going to come when they're able to kind of get more chemistry and continuity established by way of practice.
Yeah.
But the challenge ain't going nowhere. You're going to have to step up and start bringing your own resistance to it.
100%. I don't know if you were planning on teeing it up now, but when she talked about like what needs to be done, I immediately thought about what DB said after the game. I don't know if you wanted to play that, Kev, what DB DeWanna Bond talked about post game in this break that's coming up or in between time that's coming up.
Oh my God, just take a breath. I think get everyone settled. Like I said, we've been adding pieces since training camp. I feel like we're one of the teams that's still kind of like trying to work everyone back in. We got a lot of foreigners. We're still missing Mo, who's coming in soon, so we got to kind of get her back integrated into things. So yeah, just taking a breath, and everybody we're here now. And, you know, I feel like our team is finally coming together, and we can practice as a full unit and know exactly what we need to do.
It sounds simple, but I mean, just having some time off. Why am I sitting like this? First of all, I was sitting like I was eating at the barbecue. I had the plate.
Sitting like the shoe show off.
I'm at the cookout right now. But no, seriously, it's like obviously you hear like a 17-year vet say like I need to take a breath.
Facts.
You earned multiple breaths, but also she would know better than anybody else. Like you played 3 games in 4 days against the players that you played against, the teams that you played against, the play styles that each of those teams present. It's challenges and it's physically taxing. And then you factor in the fact that you are incorporating a lot of new pieces and the fact that it's a new season. I think it'll be good for this team, have a day off, and then reset. And what can you do? I think the energy should fix the compete level. You should be spry and fresh when you get back on the court. I think the practice reps that you'll get tomorrow and the shoot-around reps you'll get Friday should help with some of the continuity, some of the tendencies, some of the learning one another. You can't replicate what you get in game reps, but you can take a half a step towards it. And I think we'll see people figure it out and learn in real time during Friday night's game. So I think that the effort-related things should fix themselves just with the team having more energy and being fresher come Friday. And I think with that also comes a better attention to detail because a lot of times we don't talk about it, but when we're physically exhausted, we're not as sharp mentally as well. So I expect to see Not to say that yesterday's effort was bad, it just wasn't sharp. I expect to see a much sharper effort on Friday, just off the strength of having a couple days off.
For sure. I think the thing for me with DB, especially when he gets to speaking to where they could have been better, where there was room for improvement and things like that, never once did you even get the slightest bit of a sense or inkling that there was panic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that coming from Dewana in particular says a lot, because your team is going to respond to things the way that your leaders do. I know Alyssa Thomas didn't panic, so we don't even got to talk about AT. But Dewana, just because she was the one that's speaking, very still, very matter of fact with the way that she was speaking. So I take solace in terms of them meeting my expectations for them this season. Them not being rattled or shaken by teams kind of ringing them early. Like Nate even mentioned it in post game to something I had asked him. And he's like, yeah, we haven't gotten really like hit upside the chin like that. To the extent that Minnesota showed to, or even to the extent that Golden State did in their previous game, especially in back-to-back games. And I say that because they also strike me very much as a group that it has pride and accountability. And I think that when you have leaders that aren't shaken, but leaders that are also accountable before they hold others accountable, that says a lot. I talked about Kahleah talking about defense, and I talked about her including herself with that. That's everything right there. So if you got Dewana, you got Kahleah, and you got Alyssa and Nate on top of that, so all four of those decision-making pieces all in alignment on accountability, there's no reason why they shouldn't solve this and solve it soon. And I'm looking forward to when they do, because it's going to continue to, like I said, show itself as a challenge, and they gotta meet it with its own resistance.
I'm excited for the matchup on Friday. To your point, we got another great point guard matchup, having Skylar Diggins back in Mountain America, not Mountain America, mortgage matchup. My goodness, is always
like
a
that.
grandiose time. Listen, it's had in our 3 years of hosting this podcast, this is its third name, so you can't even really be mad at me for that.
No.
Like, my bad, everybody. But also to what you just said, like about the shoot around, literally yesterday was the first game that they even have had a shoot around for, because of how windswept this team has been by just the timing of all of these games. So I'm excited to see like what a full practiced Mercury team can do after a week, not a week, but 3 days off after having
It feels like a week though. Shoot,
right.
Yeah, compared
no
Compared
travel,
to no days. Yeah.
That it hits like a week, I imagine, for sure.
So I'm excited to see what they're going to look like. I'm going to go ahead and give my prediction for Friday's game. Is everybody okay with that?
Sure.
And then we can go down the line. Okay. I'm going
Is
to
Kevin
pick this.
participating?
Kevin's always welcome to participate. This is practically his podcast.
Hi, Kevin. You said nothing in all podcasts. Hi, Kevin.
To be
Kevin,
fair,
did you
I
have-
did say that Gil was sitting like Wobe doing the show,
Fair.
the shoe show off
Fair.
tweets.
That was a lot you said. That's true.
I didn't even realize it. I don't understand why I was doing that. I'm trying to figure out what was going on. My body has been an autopilot, so like that's probably why. But then I looked at myself because I'm like, what is happening right now? But I didn't drop the computer though, so it's all cool.
See, y'all thought about the cookout. I thought about Disney knees, and I'm not sure if you guys even know what that is. But
Disney and Datney?
No, Disney knees. Look up Demi Lovato Disney knees.
Thought that was funny. Kip thought that was funny.
I'm
You
glad.
just shake it. Yeah. All right, yeah, my fault. I said enough.
Oh man. Anyways,
Anybody got tomatoes?
Why are you booing me? I'm right.
This guy here. Wow.
Oh man. But I'm gonna give my prediction for Friday's game, and then we can all go down the line, including but not limited to our guy Kevo Post as well. I'm gonna argue that the Mercury are gonna be back in the win column. I think this will be another close game. I hope it's a 5-point or more victory. In the Arizona Wildcat fandom, we have a joke about this particular tweet about clenching your butt for 2 hours is just all that it is being an Arizona Wildcat fan, and that's how I feel watching the Mercury right now. And it's not because of anything that they're doing. It's just my own
It's 'cause you
anxiety.
care.
So exactly, Gil. I want to be able to crank out solid content. Solid content about winners tends to be happier for me to do than solid content about poopy butts. So nonetheless, I'm going for a 5-point victory for the Phoenix Mercury over the Chicago Sky on Friday. This is where I tell you guys we won't have a post-game show, but what we will have is a podcast on Monday to break down this matchup and then preview the next week. I also have a post-game show scheduled for Thursday next week. So we'll be back in the post game business next week. Don't be too scared. We ain't going too far. But what about you guys on tomorrow's game?
For Friday,
tomorrow. My God.
yeah, Friday. I got you. You good? Friday, I think the Mercury come out and respond. They're on a 2-game losing streak. This is not something that this team is usually accustomed to. I can't remember how many times they lost more than 2 games in a row last season. Especially once they got healthy and hold down that home stretch. So I imagine they have a response in front of the home crowd. Dewana spoke. The one thing that she felt where she left something to be desired was that they didn't bring that win to the Mercury X Factor energy. Yeah, and she apologized for that a couple of times. But I think that's something they're going to come out and they're going to play with a certain type of purpose on both ends of the floor. And I imagine they set an even better tone defensively than they started to get to against the Golden State Valkyries, and obviously what they did a little bit to start the game against Minnesota last night. So I'm gonna go Mercury win. I'm gonna go Mercury win by. Let's go 8 points. I think it's gonna be a nice challenge that they have, not just in pick and roll with the guards that the Chicago Sky have, but I also think they're gonna have some nice challenges that maybe they haven't had quite yet with bigs. Hello, Camila Cardoso.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very unique type of matchup to solve.
Yes.
Now, Natasha Mack had multiple moments of success and activity against Camila in the 2 matchups or the 3 matchups they had with the Sky last season. That challenge is going to still be there.
The front court looks different now, too.
The front court is very different now. They're playing with a different type of spacing.
Yep.
Obviously, this is part of why you bring in someone like Kiara Linskins as well, to not just have 3-point shooting spacing, but also to be able to counter and match with size of your own, to upsize and kind of have a different type of skill set aside from or independent of Natasha Mack. Very different. And they've been spending time in lineups together through these first 3 games as well, which I think is very intriguing too. So I go Mercury by 8 tomorrow. It's going to come with some challenges that I'm looking forward to seeing how they play out.
I'm not completely stealing your answer because I was thinking of a score I wanted it to be, and it happened to be an 8-point difference. Before you said 8, I thought Mercury win 89-81.
Okay.
So I'm just going to go with that. I think the big thing I'm going to have my eye on, we hinted at it, we talked about it, we joked about it, we mocked it. There were 50 fouls called last night. 50, F-I-F-T-Y. And I remember when these 2 teams played in the preseason, albeit the preseason, I believe there were 45 free throws taken in the first half. 45, like the number that Michael Jordan wore when he came out of retirement, 45. So I hope to see a little bit more of a game flow and fewer fouls and some physicality let pass by, especially with a team or teams that would like to play a physical brand of basketball. But I won't be holding my breath as far as that goes. Sure. But 90-80 or 89-81 is what I'm thinking tomorrow or Friday. Excuse me. I'm so excited about it. I wish it was tomorrow.
Kevin?
I'm going to say Mercury win. I've been thinking about this. 92-86.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, 92-86.
Okay.
They hold the Sky to their lowest scoring output so far this season by 1 point. And
unless they score more than that, less than that today.
Good point, Gil.
I got you. That's what I'm here for.
Gil. Thank you, Gil. But yeah, that's my prediction.
Yeah. Let's go over under since we talked about former Mercury players playing against their old franchises. Let's talk about Kahleah Copper playing against her old franchise. T-Button waiting for it. T-Button waiting for it. Kai has not been shy about the drives to start this season. She's lived in the paint. I think obviously the loudest is going to be her most recent game where she dropped 30. But what would you say the over or under is for her points total going into Friday's game?
I'm thinking.
And if I say 21.5,
that's not bad. I was thinking a little higher.
I was gonna say she's going to. I think 21.5 probably might be like what we see like an official line set at.
Yeah,
I'm thinking she's scoring at least 25.
Yeah, that's what I had it at, like 25.5. That's what I was thinking. I think the buckets. Well, let me even stop with that.
The KFC buckets.
Oh yeah, that too. Fair. That too.
Thank you.
One thing about Kahleah Copper, when there's smoke, she's someone that goes and seeks it out.
Chimney,
yes. The chimney, yes. Natasha Cloud and Kahleah Copper, they have some fun, and that's why that Mercury team in 2023 was so competitive, or 2024, excuse me, was so competitive. Because those two in tandem with everything that is Diana Taurasi. That's a
I
lot
don't
of
remember a lot of KFC technical fouls in 2025, but there were a lot in 2024 because it's just the type of game that they kind of brought out of each other. It's the type of mentality that they were playing alongside of each other, and you see it when they go against each other as well, just not together.
To that point, when you have somebody that's going to challenge Kahleah in the ways that Natasha Cloud will both speak and do in terms of her abilities, that gets fun. That gets really fun. That's a very Philadelphia matchup right there.
Yeah.
Kai's going to be in her bag. Kai's absolutely going to be going at Natasha Cloud. No different than we just saw in the first round of the playoffs last season. Natasha Cloud, very good defender. Kahleah Copper, very good dog. And I'm looking forward to seeing those two going at it because Natasha Cloud is also going to go at Kahleah on the other side of the floor too. It's going to be very fun to see those two go at it. Naturally, you mix in a little bit of Skylar Diggins in there and everything that comes with that. Rakia Jackson going to come in and bring all of Detroit with her onto the court too. Very, very fun matchup. It's going to be a very competitive atmosphere on the floor, and I'm looking forward to how it all plays out. That always brings out the best versions of Kahleah. And naturally, also, Alyssa Thomas is going to see it, and she's going to be like, hey, can I get in on that? Let me get a little bit of that. And she's going to do what she does as one of the best with that as well. So, got a lot of dogs going to be on the basketball court come Friday. And
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
That's appointment television for me. You tell me it's a lot of dogs, that's something I need to be watching. And
I'm in there.
It's going to be fun for sure.
It's like the halftime show that they have instead of like for the dogs during the Super Bowl. You know what I'm talking? The Puppy Bowl.
Puppy Bowl.
Except just the Dog Bowl. Sorry, I don't know why I was blanking on what it's called, but I don't really care about the Super Bowl that much, so it's neither here nor there for me.
Puppy Bowl, Super Bowl. I got you.
Puppy Bowl is the thing, you know. I don't
greater
really
than, greater than.
Anyways, well, we've done some really excellent work today, you guys. I'm really excited for Friday's matchup. I unfortunately will not be back at the NMC this week, so please don't be looking out for me just yet. I will be back next Tuesday. So we will be back to our regularly scheduled programming regarding halftime meetups on Tuesday. Go ahead and say Hong Kong right now for that because I'm really excited to be back. Unfortunately, I don't know why ASU and U of A had to schedule both of their college graduations on the exact same day. They really kind of bent me over with this. I don't know why they had to do this to me. I'm a nice lady. I've been nice to both of your schools. Please let me go to both college graduations. And unfortunately, they're playing in my face. So those competing universities need to talk to each other about scheduling those. Nonetheless, please be sure to follow Steven on Twitter at StevenPG3. You can follow Gil on Twitter at GilMcGregor_. Bang! And then you can follow our A1 producer, Kevin, at Kevo Post. You can follow me at Erica Lee Day. You can also follow all of us together, hooting, hollering, posting press clips, posting game footage, whatever we've got in the ATM. Well, no, in our bag, we're putting in the ATM, which is actually just the PHNX_Mercury on Twitter. So follow us over there. Become a diehard. I don't think I've said that all podcast today, and that's really on me. I believe we're having a special right now. I could be wrong, but access to the PHNX Mercury diehard Discord is literally the best place on earth. You can talk to me. You can talk to Espo. You can talk to Bo. You can talk to Derek. You can talk to Kevin. You can talk to Damon. You can talk to Steven, Gil. I'm sure Leah's in there sometime. I'm not really sure these days.
She's always in there.
Yeah, literally everyone. Leah is the moderator, so I would imagine Leah's in there quite frequently, but nonetheless, a little less to moderate these days. We're in good spirits in the PHNX Discord these days. So hop in, tell a friend to join the Discord so we can all have a bunch of friends inside the Discord. If they're in the Discord, they're probably my friend. So it's a really exciting place to be. Don't be anywhere else. Be sure to leave a like, thumbs up, 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. And we will see you guys on Monday at 5:30 p.m. for the next episode of PHNX Mercury Podcast. Till then, bye!
We all silly like the mayor.